If you want more gym members, learn to handle objections well. In this training video, this is the third training video of the 4-segment sales system. So if you haven't seen the training about the needs assessment or the training about price presentation, I will link to those videos at the end. That way you can check them out. And then after this, we're gonna have a video about onboarding for retention so that you maximize the ROI from the members that you're getting. Now in this training video, we're gonna talk about if you want more gym members, you gotta learn to handle these 3 objections well, these top 3. Now, these are 3 of the most common objections. You might encounter something different in your facility, but I've worked with about 1,000 gym owners and more if you count the ones who have read the book that I wrote on gym membership sales, and if you count the franchises that I've supported in their sales training processes, it's a lot more. But anyway, over those, what I hear questions about most common would be, how do I handle these objections? And these are the ones that I hear most often. It might be different in your facility. Here's how to figure that out. What you want to do is talk with your team and say, which objections do you hear most often? Or what are the reasons people don't join? Or when that person didn't join, why didn't they join? And just begin to develop your own list. If you're constantly hearing, oh, they just said they want to think about it, or, oh, they're going to join later, that it probably means that your team is not willing to approach that objection, or maybe even you, if you're making the sales. Most owners get over that because they have to make sales or else they don't have a business, right? So most of the time owners will get over that, but a team needs more help. And as an owner, unless you want to be handcuffed to the job of doing all the sales in your business for the rest of your life forever and never taking a vacation, you do have to train your team to do this eventually. By the way, if you get the gym membership sales book, I write about these objections a lot, and I spend a lot of time writing about the needs assessment. And there's a resource portal that comes with the gym membership sales book, and that resource portal is totally free, and it's got copies of how to do a needs assessment well and objection handling scripts and things that you can actually print out and practice with your team. So if you need a deeper dive into this, feel free to visit membershipsalesbook.com. Let's get into it. If somebody says, I want to think about it, or I want to do this later, the reason why I call the process embracing objections is because we're not looking to push back. Well, why do you need to think about it? No, create a battle with your prospects. No one's got time for that. That's too much energy. Instead, make it okay. Oh, you want to think about it? Great. Take all the time that you need to think about it. Now, here's the second reason why I like to call it embracing objections. Because we're making it okay, we're drawing it in near, we're not pushing it away, and next reason is because we're seeking to corral it, right? Not out there wily and all over the place, like, nailing Jello to the wall. Let me just see if this is the only thing. Let me just see if this is the only thing left. So I'll say, got it. And John, besides needing to think about it, is there anything else that would keep you from moving forward today? And maybe John will say, no, there's not. And I'll say, great. So if you had thought about it for a day or 2 or 3 or whatever you needed, and we were having this conversation right now, with 100% confidence, you'd be saying, this is great, let's go ahead and get started. And I'd be shaking your hand and saying, welcome to the club. And 6 months from now, we'd be celebrating your success. Is that what you're saying to me with 100% confidence? And you'll hear them say, well, I guess. And you'll say, what do you mean by that? Most often, you will hear some bit of misgiving in their tonality, and you want to dive into that. And you'll say, well, what exactly is it that you need to think about or process? Or if you were to process this for a few days or however long you needed, what kinds of things would you be thinking about? And lean in and figure out what that is. I want to think about it, or I want to join later. I'll join in a month or 2. Got it. Take all the time you need. Join whenever you're ready. By the way, what's causing you to want to wait a month or 2? Once you figure that out, then you can isolate it. Great. And besides wanting to join after your current membership ends in a month, is there anything else that would keep you from getting started? Oh, there's not? Great. So let me ask you this. This is where we move to the next phase of addressing any objection, where we get a small measure of commitment. And one of the greatest sales mentors of my life, who I spent several years learning from every single day and selling gym memberships, his name is Gary, and I'm just super proud to carry his legacy on and share with you some of the things that he shared with me that changed my life, that changed many other lives as well. here's what he would always say. This is the if I will you segment of addressing an objection, where we're just getting a little bit of commitment. Got it. If I can set up something that works out super, super well for your existing situation with that gym membership that ends in a month and you wanting to train here instead because you're totally done with that, if I could set something like that up that you loved, that worked perfectly for your situation, would you get started today if you loved what I might be able to set up? If I could set something like that up, would you get started today? And if they say anything other than yes, you say, got it. Well, what else besides wanting to wait a month or so would keep you from getting started? And figure out what that is. But in most cases, they'll say yes. Once they do say yes, and you got your one thing or two, three objections isolated, you say, great. So you want to join in a month because your gym membership has 1 month left on it and you don't want to be paying for 2 places. What if I were to be able to get approval for setting up X, Y, and Z? Do you think that might take care of that for you? And remember, if I were to be able to, if they say yes, then you say, great, I'll do that for you. Welcome to the club, right? And you get their membership started. It costs too much. If someone says this costs too much, most likely we didn't do a good job in the needs assessment of figuring out what the ROI would look like in their lives. So what I like to do is, no worries. If this is outside of what you're planning on investing in your health and fitness, that's totally okay. Now, let me ask you this. When you say it costs too much, are you talking about the upfront investment or are you talking more about the monthly rate? And I'm just going to get really curious and I'm going to ask them questions about why it costs too much. And they'll get really specific about why it costs too much. And then I'll ask them questions along the lines of, got it. And if you were to start investing in some sort of fitness facility, what does your spending plan look like for that? Quite often you will find that many prospects, especially if they're currently inactive or haven't had a gym membership in a long time or have never had a gym membership, don't have any budget at all. So $50 a month might be too much in that situation. The final thing that I'm going to do, once we figure out what they would spend, now let's say our membership's $150. Let's say they'd be willing to spend like $90 or $100. No, I'd spend like, probably close to $100. Okay, got it. Close to $100. So like 90, 100, 110, maybe 120. And they'll be like, yeah, like maybe as much as 120. See what I did there? I pushed it up just a few notches. Got it. So we're 150. You'd be willing to spend 120. It seems like we're maybe like 20, $30 more than what you would invest in your health and wellness. Well, let me ask you this. If you were to train in a facility like this, what do you think you might get out of it? And I'm going to loop back to all the benefits that they talked about earlier. And I'm going to ask them, how important is that to you? And they're going to say, very. Then I'm going to go back and say, great, let's go ahead and get you started. And I'll just take another pass at that. Because sometimes people just need some time to process investing that much money and become comfortable with it. Now, if I'm not able to get them over the hump, it is possible that in some situations I would set it up so I could say, look, if I were able to get you started at $120 per month and you were able to train here and use the facility for just $120 a month, is there anything else that would keep you from getting started today? And quite often you'll hear what is actually out there besides the price objection. But if they say, nope, that's it, and I've done all of that other work, then I'll say, great. So here's what I will do if you will get started today. I will make this membership $120 for the first 60 days. And then after that, it's going to go to the regular rate. And here's why. Because when people invest in a premium membership, they use it more and they get what they actually came here for. And I've seen this happen over and over and over again with person after person. Now, understand in a situation like yours, investing $150 a month, that's kind of challenging at the moment. But worst case scenario, you'll be able to experience a premium facility for just this low investment that works for your spending plan. And if at the end of that 60 days, you decide it's not worth it for you, we'll cancel the membership and I'll help you find a much cheaper place that anybody could afford very, very easily. How does that sound? That track works very well for it costs too much. And I'll slow my rate of speech down. I'll soften my tonality. How does that sound? Oh, wait. By the way, I'm going to do another training on tonality at some point. You can develop powerful tonality that doesn't just exude confidence, but it transfers and shares confidence. That's the idea of a conversation like this. We want to share our confidence with the person that's there. Our confidence that they can and will achieve what they came there to achieve can actually be transferred to them. And areas where they've experienced failure in the past, they can step into a new level of living as if they are the person who they want to become, and making it past that hump of like, I don't know if I'll be able to actually follow through this time. I don't know if that'll be just a waste of money. Making it past that hump will just be the natural result of the confidence that you're sharing with them. So stay tuned for that one. I don't know, I'll make that one soon. Third and final objection, spouse. If you hear from someone that they're like, well, and you did your best to address this in the needs assessment, and for whatever reason it comes up, right? The spouse objection comes up, you're gonna say, got it. You need to talk with your wife about this. Okay, and we'll get you started whenever you're ready. Like, no worries, like I'll be here. We're gonna be excited to support you whenever you're ready. And I'll lean back and I'll say, just out of curiosity, if you were to go home and tell your spouse, hey, I invested in a membership because I'm really interested in X, Y, and Z, and I would love your support in achieving those things, what do you think they would say? Most of the time, your prospect will tell you, they've actually been pushing me to do this for a long time. And I've heard that over and over. And at that point, I'll say, well, let's go ahead and get you started, right? Or sometimes they will say, well, they're totally supportive of me. We just like to make decisions like this together. And then I'll say, got it. So in that situation, it seems like if you were just to do something and you all didn't talk it over together, it would maybe be a little bit disrespectful to them or to your relationship or to the habits and patterns you guys have been establishing. Is that kind of like what you're saying? And they're like, yeah, that's exactly it. And I'll be like, is that kind of it? And they'll be like, yeah, no, that's it. They'll encourage me. That's it. Got it. Okay, so here's what we can do. Earlier, you said that this facility was like a 9 out of 10 good fit for you because of X, Y, and Z. Notice I did my due diligence in the needs assessment. Because of X, Y, and Z. And earlier you said that your spouse really does want you to do this and that they're supportive of this, because I asked that in the needs assessment. Who supports you in this? But now you're saying y'all like to sign up on these things together. So let me set it up so that you can do that and you're just totally ready to go, you're committed, and you're moving forward on the path to achieving what you wanted to achieve. Now, if I can set up something like that where you're leaning into what you came here to actually get, and you're able to be very respectful of your partner, would that be useful in your situation? And I'll lean back a little bit. And they'll say, yeah. Quite often they'll say, yes, that would be useful. Or said differently, if I can set all these things up so that it's really respectful to your partner and your situation, would there be anything else keeping you from getting started? And they'd say, no, there's nothing else that keep you from getting started. Great, so here's what we can do. And quite often I will start the membership and I'll have them sign the documents and I won't charge the card. And then what I'll do is I will say, great, we're gonna start your membership. I'm not gonna charge your card, but you'll have an active membership that you haven't paid for. And the only thing that's left is your written authorization, like a text message or an email, just saying that it's good to go through. And what this will enable you to do is you'll be able to go home and tell your partner, hey, I'm like this far away from getting started at fitness facility X, Y, and Z, and I'm really interested in your support. What I would love to have is, besides achieving those goals, is a supportive partner along the way. And that means a ton to me. But I didn't want to dive into that without soliciting your help and enlisting you in supporting me in going into those goals. And I know that if you're part of the decision, you're going to be there for me. And that's going to mean that I ultimately get what I'm going there to achieve. And that's going to be better for you and me and the whole family. Now, could I have your support in achieving those things? And you wait. And I'll say that's what you should say to your partner. Don't say, hey, I'm thinking about joining this gym. I talked to this guy with a beard that had a really smooth voice and I just thought that maybe I would just buy it because it's always sucked in the past, but maybe this time it'll be different. Don't go home and say that. Go home and say, I would love to enlist your support in achieving X, Y, and Z. Are you willing to support me in that? And I wanted that from you before I got started, before I'm officially in. And quite often, that'll be a powerful dynamic for the individual and for their relationship, and they'll move forward to get what they came there to achieve. All right, so in the next training video, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about onboarding for retention and referrals, for maximizing the ROI from these new members that you're adding. And I'll probably link to that video right here. And if you need help with the needs assessment or the price presentations, go back and watch either the needs assessment video or the price presentation video, which I will probably have linked over here on this side of the video. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one right now.